Mm, Hello, everyone. So we're just waiting to allow people to join us. So let's give everybody a few minutes. Okay, it's been a couple minutes. There's about 31 of us in this room right now. We had 85 that registered, so it seems a little bit lower than we hoped for, but I think we can get started. We will also be recording this and sharing it on our Columbia Housing YouTube channel. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Rising Senior Room Selection Information session. We have prepared a thorough presentation that we hope that it answers most of your questions. Ideally, some of you, the majority of you had already been gone through room selection, so this would just be a refresher, or maybe you are part of the population that maybe was part of FSL or an RA and has never done a room selection process. So a lot of the information here will be very useful to you. This is the Columbia Housing staff that we will be presenting today. Mainly Jennifer, Mia, Justin, and I are very excited to share how the room selection process works with all of you. And we're going to start with just some housekeeping in the agenda, what it is that we're going to be talking about today. So first, we're going to go over to what is the updates for the upcoming room selection. And then during the presentation, we're also going to share with you some important dates that we want to make sure that you keep in mind and the important points that you will need to focus on during the room selection process. We will explain the step-by-step process on how to register and how to go through room selection, and we'll also provide you some tips for planning. And we want to go over some data from previous years so you have some information about how things played out last year. And we will leave some time at the end for some questions. So let's talk about what is new for the academic year 24-25. Blind doubles. That is the very first thing that is going to be new. So the blind double process was unfavorable and it had unintended consequences previously. So it required housing to interrupt room selection mid-process to open rooms. It allowed students with less favorable lottery numbers to pick into spaces that were not previously open to students who selected earlier in the lottery. So it is Columbia's Housing's priority to support a fair process in which rooms are selected solely by point value and lottery number. Knowing that the inventory for singles and not number suites is limited, students, but this mainly for the rising sophomores and rising juniors, are strongly encouraged to form even number groups, but it also applies to you in the sense that even number groups are really helpful. So individuals and non-number groups who are unable to select will be added to the guaranteed assignment list. And also it means there's been a couple instances in the past where seniors did not pick all the way to the end of room selection. So they ended up in this guaranteed assignment list. So what is the guaranteed assignment list? It was formerly known as the room selection wait list. It has been renamed guaranteed assignment list to reflect that all students on this list have guaranteed housing status and will be assigned to on-campus housing. Now let's talk about group formation. Groups can only be formed with the students from adjacent classes. What that means for you is that you will only be able to form groups with junior classmates. This is to ensure the fairness in the lottery system. Rising seniors cannot form groups with rising sophomores. We also wanted to give you an FYI for Wayne and 47 Claremont. The residents should be aware that construction is planned for these buildings in the next academic year. And lastly, for the FSL and the SICs, there might be some beds available there during room selection, depending on the size of the population that's assigned to the building. So now I'm gonna pass it on to Jennifer, so she'll get started with some more information.
Thank you, Lorena. Okay, so what is room selection? You may all be familiar with the process, but it is the annual process where rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors have the opportunity to select their housing assignment. Most of you have gone through this process most likely, but if not, then you'll be participating this year. So again, like last year, you or your designated group leader will select your room assignment for the next academic year. And so how does this happen? Well, first, you must register for room selection. Second, you or your group leader will have the opportunity to choose a room. Please keep in mind that if you're part of a pre-assigned population, such as RAs, residents of an SIC, FSL, or have a disability accommodation, you will not be able to select a room. Instead, your room assignment is predetermined. Remember that your one-stop shop for registration and room selection is online in the housing portal. And now I'm going to go over some dates that you should all be mindful of. So February 15th through 16th is when the pre-assigned students, such as RAs, residents of SIC, FSL, or those with a disability accommodation will have the opportunity to register. February 19th through March 1st is registration for room selection for the rest of the population. And we added a session on March 1st about group selection and strategy information session. So please join that if you have questions surrounding group selection and strategies. March 19th is when the lottery numbers will be posted on the housing portal, and March 21st is when appointment times will be posted on the housing portal. And then room selection will take place from March 27th through April 17th. And now I'm going to pass it over to Mia, who's going to take us through the registration portion of room selection.
Thank you, Jennifer. So there are 2 registration periods for students. A small portion of the population will be registering first, and then the larger population will register the following week. So the first registration period is reserved for students who already have assignments. So these are RAs that Residential Life selects, those who have applied to live in special interest communities, students living in fraternity and sorority housing, and finally, students who have disability accommodations. So these students will already have their assignments. So although these groups will already have their assignments, registration is still required. And registration for these groups will be February 15th and 16th. For these groups, the registration will be from the beginning of the application with signing the statement of intent all the way through to the occupancy agreement to confirm their housing assignment. So this slide just reiterates that you may lose your guaranteed housing if you don't register, even for this population. So majority of the population will be registering for room selection starting on February 19th. So registration will close on March 1st. Students have 2 weeks to register, and again, this is required. Some students, however, may already know that they'll be living off campus or taking some type of leave of absence, and that's okay. Although you won't be living on campus, your registration is still required, and you can indicate your housing intentions in your registration. And registration is only considered complete once you sign all the way through the statement of intent. And if we didn't say already, if you don't register, you may lose your guaranteed housing. So you can register for room selection as an individual or as part of a group. Group formation occurs during the registration process. So one student will create the group with a name and password and shares it with the rest of the group. Other students can join the group upon registering. So once all group members have joined, the group leader selected must verify the group. If a group is unverified, it will not be able to go through the room selection process as part of a group. And then just a quick note on group names. It's important that the group names remain appropriate and don't contain any special characters so that our system is able to process it for room selection. For group formations, again, you may choose to form a group with a student from an adjacent class standing. So in your case, this would be rising juniors, and this would be a mixed point group. So to group or not to group. So many students really want to know whether they should form a group. And well, part of it is being part of a group gives you more options. If you're an individual, for example, you cannot select into a suite like a group can. The only guidelines there are with options, you have to fill the room or suite to capacity. So if you're a group of 4, you cannot select into a suite with 5 spaces. So groups can split across rooms, floors, and even buildings. So for example, if you're a group of 10, you can select into 2 5-person suites or into 10 corridor singles if you like. So the takeaway there is if you want to live in a suite, you need to register with a group. An individual cannot pick into a suite. And then just as you are looking through our different buildings, there are some buildings that appear as suites on floor plans, but are not suites in the room selection process and therefore do not need to be filled. And those are 600 West 113 and Carlton Arms. So now I'm going to pass things over to Justin, who will talk about some pre-registration planning.
Thanks, Mia. So naturally, leading up to room selection registration, you should have that conversation with yourself and others if you want to participate as an individual or as a group. If you do decide to go in as a group because you're eyeing particular suites, you do need to discuss the group size, identify who the group leader will be, and also discuss what the group member responsibilities are. If you have questions about group selection and what that looks like, of course, we have that on our website with a group selection page. Um, we have been stressing in other groups about forming even-numbered groups just because of the fact that we are not opening blind doubles this year. But for rising seniors, you pretty much have the pick of the campus. And so what we're going to do is just review a couple things about group leaders, group members, even if you've gone through this before, just to make sure everyone's very clear. For, a group leader, they are pretty much in charge of the group, right? So they create the group name, they create a password for it and share it with the group members. Like Mia said, group names do need to remain appropriate. We do reserve the right to change the group name or force the group to create a new one if it isn't appropriate. The group leader also has to verify the group because otherwise group members cannot sign the statement of intent. After everyone signs the statement of intent, everyone needs to come together and agree on a selection strategy. And more importantly, the group leader is the one that selects beds for all group members. Group members are not able to assign themselves to their own bed spaces. That is the group leader. So make sure it's someone that you feel confident will stick to your strategy, will make sure to put the right people in the right places. As a group member, it's much easier. You register as part of the group, you sign the statement of intent once it's verified, and then, like I said, along with the group leader, discussing and agreeing on the selection strategy. So what does this look like in the portal? It won't be anything different than what you're used to. It will be in the same portal that last year's room selection application. If this is your first time going through room selection, it'll be the same place where you filled out the new student application so that you could get housing with us. So what you'll do is you'll go in and, double check your personal and contact details, select your dining plan for next year, whether you want to participate in a dining promotion. And then ultimately you land on this page where you have to decide or declare if you're participating in room selection or not. So if you're going to take a leave of some kind, study abroad, live off campus, you will select not participate in room selection. A majority of students do participate in room selection, so they will hit that select that option and hit save and continue. After that, you will land on the group formation page. This is something that everyone that everyone will go through. Um, this is where for group leaders, you'll create the group members, this is where you'll join. Groups will be able to see other group members as well as see if the group has been verified yet. Because again, if the group hasn't been verified, you are not allowed to continue. Now, let's say you want to participate as an individual. Well, this is uh, what will happen is you will land on the room selection registration confirmation page, and it will say at the very top, individual participant. You will have not finished with room selection registration until you land on this page. We do have a survey as part of the application this year because we're just trying to make changes to it, make sure students are able to navigate the group formation, registration process, other aspects to it. So please make sure to fill that out. But otherwise, if you have not seen this page, you have not finished room selection. Now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Minley to discuss getting to your appointment.
Thanks, Justin. Next, we'll cover point values, lottery numbers, and appointment times, and talk about how they all work together. As you all may know or have heard, these are really important concepts for room selection here at Columbia. So a point value is determined by your class standing. You don't need to do anything to earn a class standing. You've actually done it all already. So let me be the first to congratulate you all in advance on being the big lions on campus. You'll be seniors, so you'll have 40 points, which means you pick first. That'll be a recurring theme throughout this, so keep that in mind. Your point value will determine within what range your lottery number will be generated. As a senior, you pick first again, so life is sweet. In terms of lottery numbers, seniors, what you need to focus on is you'll pick from 1 to 1,000. Congratulations to whoever gets number 1. Lottery numbers are randomly generated, so a lot of people like to ask, is there anything I can do? Any composition that'll impact that? The answer is no. It's a lottery number, so everyone has an equal opportunity to get either number 1 or 1,000. And remember, in this case, you're seniors. It is better than everyone else on the campus, so you will be fine, whichever number you get. On March 19th, your class will be the envy of campus when lottery numbers are released. Real quick, before we talk about appointment times, I just want to talk about mixed point groups and how they work with point values and lottery numbers. We talked earlier about the fact that you can mix. You cannot mix with sophomores, unfortunately, but you do get to live anywhere else on campus. So in this example, you see here, a rising senior has decided to partner with a rising junior. And the way that their group's mixed point value average is calculated is just the average of their 2 different point values, which means they'll have a 35, which means that they'll pick after all of the seniors, but before all of the juniors. So if you have any friends in the junior class, you're welcome to live with them for sure. So just keep in mind, in that case, your number will fall somewhere between 1,001 and 2,000. Next, in terms of your appointment times, your appointment times will be aligned with your lottery numbers. So in this case, on March 27th, whoever has lottery number 1 will have appointment number 1, 8 a.m. on March 27th is when they'll be able to pick wherever they would like to live on campus. Appointment times will run from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. There'll be no appointments on weekends or holidays. Again, you all will be seniors, so this will be a really great time for you. So in summary, the too long didn't read. Point values influence lottery numbers. Lottery numbers determine appointment times. The higher your point value, you can get no higher than a 40, the better your lottery number. The better your lottery number, the earlier your appointment time. You all will be the first ones to pick on campus. Okay, next I'll go ahead and hand it over to my colleague Lorena so she can walk us through some pre-selection planning.
Thank you, Melanie. So how do we suggest that you prepare for your appointment? First, we want to make sure that you explore our residences. We have meticulously reviewed the building pages in our Columbia Housing website to make sure that all the information is up to date for you to review. If you choose to be part of a group, make sure that you know that the group requires to designate a group leader that will be responsible to create and verify the group. I know we said this before, but just in case. One more time. So we just want to remind you that the group leaders will be the ones assigning bets to all the members of the group. So choose the group leader wisely. Now, after the appointment times are posted, you may find that the group leader is not available during the appointment time. So when this happens, the group leader can designate another member of the team to be the group leader and make sure everything is verified in the housing portal. We also suggest you prepare multiple options and that you follow the room selection process closely as it gets close to your appointment time. This will allow you to know what options are available that meet your goals as best as possible. Lastly, have those hard conversations now. For you all, it's a little bit maybe less difficult than for the other class standings. However, a lot of you want to go into East Campus. There are some doubles in East Campus. So who is going to be assigning to those doubles is very important. Have those conversations now so you're able to just place the group members into the appropriate rooms when the time comes. So make sure that you have those conversations now. Okay, now I'm going to pass it back to Justin to go over the room selection process.
All right, so what does it look like in the portal when it's about time? So as we discussed on the 19th and 21st, we'll be posting lottery numbers and appointment times. This is the page that you will go to in order to see what your lottery number and appointment time is. It will be located at the bottom of the room selection registration summary page. And this is the same page you'll go to whenever it's time for you to make your selection. If you hit save and continue on this page before it is your time, it will unfortunately not allow you into the portal. But when it is your time, you can hit save and continue and you will land on a page similar to the image on the right. On the left-hand side, you're able to filter by building, by room style, and then you'll see the options available to you. So in this example, 610A1 is a 2-bedroom, 610A2 is a single. For groups, we'll just take a quick detour here just to talk about this option you're presented with between an exact match or a flexible match. What does this mean? For an exact match, it's a fast way for the group leader to choose a suite for the entire group. It only shows suites, or if you're a two-person group, doubles or two-person suites that the group can fill, but not all options that the group can select. So if you're a group of 6, choosing this option will only show suites with 6 beds. For rising seniors, this is a great way if you are a 5-person group and you're eyeing that 5-person all single in East Campus. It's a really great way to be able to log in and very quickly go to those spaces. But let's say that you want to split between buildings or have some more options. Then you'll go through what's called flexible match. It provides the most options to group leaders and it shows all options the group can select. So again, if you're a group of 6, you're able to choose between quarter singles, quarter doubles, and 2 to 6-person suites. You will not see 7-person suites or larger because your group is not able to fill the space. Just a reminder that in order to select a room, you must be able to fill all beds within that room or suite. So what happens next? You pick your rooms, you're going to land on a page called Assign Rooms. And this is where you're actually assigning people to their individual beds. Again, it's very important to have these conversations as a group as to who is going where and to have faith in your group leader because the group leader is the only one that's able to assign these beds. Once they assign the beds, they'll hit Assign Room and then they'll land on room selection completed. Everyone in the group will receive an automated email saying that the group leader has made their selection for them. And this is it. You have completed room selection, but it's not necessarily everything you have to do to secure your booking for the fall. Make sure you sign the occupancy agreement. If you do not sign the occupancy agreement, it puts you at risk of losing your assignment and losing your guaranteed housing. Also, during room selection, you're able to check the live viewer before your appointment time to see what is available. Of course, this is key for groups, checking to see if certain suites are getting filled on what floors, so that by the time their appointment time arrives, they're able to very quickly go into the portal and select their time, or select their spaces. Now, we're just going to discuss the guaranteed assignment list really quick. This doesn't really apply to rising seniors unless they have not selected a room at all, which you would be surprised did happen last year. What it is, it's an assignment list for students who were unable to select a room during room selection or did not select. This is an automatic process now. You do not need to go back into the portal to complete the process to sign up for the wait list. We are automatically generating that list for all students who were not able to select a room. We do ask that you still go in and confirm your building preferences so that we can take that into consideration when processing your assignments. And you are guaranteed housing and will receive an assignment over the summer, which is typically by late July. Now I'm going to pass it back to Minley so he can discuss the data.
Thank you, Justin. Now we'll dive into why everyone's really here. Let's take a look at what exactly Rising Seniors did last year. Pro tip, set your expectations. Again, as a senior, you pick first and life is sweet. So congratulations again. Really quick, the top three buildings where people went is East Campus, Woodbridge, Hogan, some of the prime real estate on campus. So there's no surprise there. And in terms of singles and doubles, if you want a single, you can get a single. 80% of seniors went into singles. I think one thing to consider there is not all singles are created equally. Most of those senior singles are within suites. Some are in corridor style buildings. And then people went into doubles. For the most part, those doubles were within suites. One of the things that we try to do on these slides is to find some stat that's kind of unlikely. And for seniors, oddly enough, the most unlikely selection last year was a corridor style double. So almost no one picked it. It was less than 1%. So if you want to do that, you can, but most people don't. Next, we'll talk about how people structure their groups. The senior class, 73% of rising seniors organize themselves into even number groups, which we love to see. Again, a lot of that doesn't really apply to you all. But yeah, we still recommend forming even number groups because it's cool. More friends, more fun. So if you can form an even number group, we suggest that you do. But you don't need an odd number group to get into an odd space as seniors. Next, we'll talk about some selection strategies. This slide is really short because, again, you're seniors, you pick first. So for you, the strategy is really about having conversations with each other about who wants to go where. As Lorena said, if you end up in a double in EC, make sure that you have the conversation about who's going to go into the double. And again, what's really most important to you? Is it that I want to be in a single? Is it that I want to be with my friends in EC and Hogan and Woodbridge, whatever the case is? Again, as seniors, you have sort of the pick of the portfolio. So congrats again on becoming seniors. Next, I'll hand it over to my colleague, Jen, so we can go through some important dates.
Thank you, Melanie. So we've already mentioned some important dates, and here are a few more. The summer housing applications will be available on the housing portal starting on February 13th. And you must check out of your housing assignment by May 11th or 24 hours after your last final exam. Finally, students living on campus during summer session 1 can check in starting May 19th. And here are some additional room selection resources. For more information and tips about room selection, you can refer to our website under Current Student. You can also follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Columbia Housing for more FAQs, tips, date reminders, and more. And you can also find video showcasing some of our buildings and an overview of the room selection process and more on our official YouTube channel, which is at Columbia Undergraduate Housing.
Great, thank you very much, everyone. So now we can go over to questions. So there's one question there, Melanie. Would you be able to do that one live also? I know that you're typing it up.
Yes, the question was just about the reason for even number groups is because there are more even number suites. Yeah, in our portfolio, there are more even number suites. Also, we just like to see people, have more fun with their friends. I mean, if you can have a group of 6 versus 5, we think that's cool. You're seniors. Maybe you don't end up living together because you can pick wherever you want, but it'd be cool to just include more people in the process. But yeah. So Justin's actually answering one. Once he's done with that, maybe he can answer this one live for us as well. So I'll just read that question. Last year when I was a rising junior, there were some singles available, but they were blocked to give them to sophomores. Will the same happen for rising seniors, or will all singles be available during the selection process?
Yeah, so it's the same this year, where the only singles that are unavailable to rising juniors and rising seniors are those in sophomore buildings. So McBain, Hartley, those are the only two. Singles located in any other building on campus are free game. You are able to select into them. It's only those that are reserved for rising sophomores.
Is there an advantage to forming a group if everyone in your group wants a corridor style single? This is a great question to get creative. An advantage, I would say there's a chance that if you form a group of six, you could all get number one and you could all pick those corridor style singles first. But that's the only advantage that I could think of. I don't know if anyone else has any insight on that, Justin or Mia.
I would just say for rising seniors, there's no particular advantage other than just making sure that everyone's able to pick near each other or be near each other. Um, we have this conversation with rising sophomores and rising juniors because it's during the selection time for rising juniors that we tend to run out of corridor style singles and making sure that everyone is able to get an assignment or they will end up on the guaranteed assignment list. But the benefit to being in a group, if you have a good group of friends and you all want corridor style singles, is you could form a group of 10 and then pick 10 singles and across Shapiro, Broadway, the building of your preference. Yeah, I can answer this one live. The question is, are group numbers calculated from the average of each of the group members' lottery numbers? This is incorrect. A lottery number is assigned to the entire group. Groups are formed during the registration process, which ends on March 1st. And then essentially what we do is we do our double checks. We make sure that there aren't any groups violating rules, that all the groups are verified. If a group is not verified, then everyone is kind of pushed out of that group and they all have to participate as individuals. And then what we do is we then randomly assign lottery numbers across them all. Uh, a group receives the same lottery number across all people. So it's not like everyone in the group gets a different lottery number and then we just take the best lottery number from that group. The group is automatically assigned one number across all group members.
There was a question about if we have a group of six, can we do a five-person suite and one single? The answer to that is yes, as long as it's available. And for seniors, that would be available. The singles will be available. The five-person suite, if it's the one that you want, if it's like a five-person suite with five singles, those are pretty popular. So even as a senior, there are levels to it, and you have to have like a what would be considered a great or good room selection number. So you may not get the specific type of suite that you want, but if you want a suite in general, you can still do that. So yes, as long as it's available.
Yeah, and then we've got another question here. Can you discuss a Barnard senior joining a housing group with Columbia students? Yes, Barnard seniors are able to participate in our room selection. The most important thing is Barnard students cannot be group leaders. They must join a group. After that, Barnard students cannot be more than 50% of a group, and they are not allowed to select or be placed into corridor style singles. If by some chance a Barnard student does end up getting placed in a corridor style single, we will remove them from it. Barnard students must be assigned to rooms within a suite with their group. Outside of that, naturally there is the exchange with Columbia. So we do work with Barnard as well so that we have an even exchange of Columbia students in Barnard housing and Barnard students in Columbia housing. And so if you are a Barnard student who signs up and then unfortunately we have reached the cap of that exchange, then we will reach out to you to let you know that you will not be able to participate in our room selection.
Justin, can I ask you to answer one more live, please? The one about the flexible match option.
Yes, my recommendation would be to do the flexible match just because in that exact match situation, what the system is doing is it's just going 10 group members, 10 like suites with 10 beds in them. So I would recommend doing the flexible match. Again, you are able to sit there and filter out by building and or rooms types. So it's not like it's cumbersome to try to get to your space. If you're looking at two 5-person suites in East Campus, or in Hogan, you are able to select the building and then pretty much go directly to those room spaces from there.
There was a question about 3-person suites. Do we have them in our portfolio? We do. There are some 3-person suites in 47 Claremont. They usually go to seniors. So yes, if you have a great lottery number and you want a 3-person suite and you don't mind walking to 47, those should be available. I do have a clarifying question for myself. I don't remember. Me or Francis, can you help me? Are those the suites with the RA in the suite?
Yeah, some of them are. There are also ones that don't have it, or it might be for people as well. So yes, they're very rare, but they do exist. And then there are also certain suites that an RA are placed in an EC so that it makes the group size that selects into it maybe 2 or 3 as well.
It's a great senior group. You had more questions than the juniors.
Uh, I'll take this one. The question is, if you are in an even numbered group, for example, 6 people, do you select before odd numbered groups? For example, 5 people. The answer is no. It's a random assignment across all people. So any individuals and groups that have a 40 point value, either for the individual or the average across the group, so essentially all senior groups, they are randomly assigned across all. So there is no systematic advantage to having one over the other. So it's entirely, again, this is very random. I promise I don't sit there and spend hours trying to put things in the right spot. That's too much time. It is a genuine random assignment across all applicable groups and individuals.
Okay, seems like we might have answered all the questions. And a few people have left already, so I'm assuming we got the information across that was most important. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the panelists here for helping me out today with the presentation, and we hope that you'll have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye.
Bye, y'all.